Looking ahead to Brighton, you've touched on it quickly there. Well, I mean, seeing as you're talking about team news, what do you expect the team news for Brighton to be? I know it's a few days in advance, but with the League Cup semi-final first leg on the horizon, do you see that taking a bit of priority and maybe a bit of resting, or are Arsenal not in a position to be able to afford to be resting players for Premier League games at the moment?
I don't think you're really an opportunity to be resting. I think there will be some rotation in the next few games because there are a lot coming up. Obviously, they've had a nice little rest since Ipswich for this game, but then it does sort of start to heat up again. Like you said, you got the 2 legs against Newcastle coming up. You got the Manchester United FA Cup game coming up, so there will be some sort of rotation. But he's not exactly blessed with riches. You looked at his subs bench against Ipswich. Ethan Nwaneri was the only attacking option that he had on that bench to change the game, because he basically played everyone in that starting lineup, because he had Havertz playing as the sort of midfielder as well as Jesus up front. I do wonder if we might see in one of the next 2 games Jesus come back out the side again. You have Jesus on the bench, you move Havertz up top, you put in Marino or Rice in that left 8 role. If you put Rice there, you can play Partey as a holding role, and that just gives you another option on the bench as well to change things if needed. So I wonder if he might do that either at Brentford or at Brighton coming up. Injury-wise, I don't think any of the injured players are going to be coming back for that game. There's definitely not going to be no Tomiyasu or Ben White, obviously, and we know that Saka's not fit. So the Arsenal kind of what they've got right now is what they're going to have to go with. And yeah, there might be a little bit of rotation in the midfield, and that might free up an extra attacker to sort of drop out the side and come on the bench. But we're not going to see wholesale changes.
And Brighton, they go into this game winless in 7 games, so it seems like a decent time to play them. They've dropped points against Southampton, Leicester, Palace, West Ham in that time. So games really you'd expect them to be winning those ones. But having said that, they've also beaten Man City, Tottenham, Newcastle, Man United this season. I mean, who hasn't beaten Man United this season? But it's a big scalp for them. They seem to be dangerous against the big teams. It is a game, as you touched on, it's a game for Arsenal to be wary of.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched them yesterday against Aston Villa. I watched the highlights of it, and I thought they were the better side from what I saw in that game, so especially in the second half. What's his name? He scored the second goal, the equaliser. Tariq Lamptey. It was an absolutely brilliant goal. That move. Is everything that Brighton are about. Starting from the back, play out from the back, sweeping move. João Pedro, who I think is a fantastic player, by the way, was brilliant in that. Some lovely touches, and then a great finish from Lamptey. So look, they're a really dangerous side, Brighton. They play great football. Arsenal struggle against Brighton at home, notoriously struggle against them at home over the years. Drew there earlier in the season, obviously with the Declan Rice sending off. But they have done all right away from home. They won there very, very well last season. I think the year before they did as well. So they tend to do okay at the Amex, but struggle against them at the Emirates, which is pretty strange. So it's going to be a difficult game. The thing with Brighton, when you sort of reeled off, they've obviously struggled in recent weeks, but I think they're missing Danny Welbeck. Obviously, Welbeck had such a good start to the season, scored so many goals for them. So he's been out of the side of injury. I think they're struggling to finish off. They're still playing the same great football that they play and causing teams loads and loads of problems. But they just can't finish. The game against Brentford, for example, how they didn't score in that game a couple of earlier in the week is incredible. The amount of shots they had, and I think Cisco had 8 shots himself in the first half, which was a new record, and they didn't score a goal. So finishing is obviously a bit of a problem for them at the moment, but the football's still there, and they're causing teams problems. So Arsenal are going to have to play well. They're going to have to deal with that, and then take their chances at the other end.
And then very quickly to finish off, this is Arsenal's first Premier League game outside of London since November 2nd, which is a remarkable run of capital games. They haven't won a Premier League game outside of London. I was amazed by this, since August 21st against Aston Villa. And that's their only one all season. Every other win they've had this season has come in London. Is that a concern, or is that just a quirk?
I think it's just a quirk because they haven't played anywhere else other than London. It's hard to win away from London when you're not playing away from London. It's been a mad period of games, like you said, a quirk. And after this game, they've got I think they've got 4 home games in a row coming up as well. And Brighton's hardly a long distance travel for them either, is it? So I honestly had no idea until you just told me that Aston Villa game was the last time they won a Premier League game outside of London. That is pretty mad. It feels like a long, long time ago now. Leandro Trossard coming off the bench and scoring that goal. It's not something I'm worried about. I just think it's a quirk of the fixture list. Arsenal are good away from home. They win games away from home. So I'd have no fears that now that they're going to start playing away from London, that's going to become an issue.